Did you know that not all foods should be refrigerated? It's a common belief that chilling our edibles can somehow magically extend their lifespan, but that's not always the case. Indeed, some foods defy this general rule and fare better outside the frosty confines of your refrigerator. Today, we're going to bust some myths and unveil the truth about a dozen everyday foods that should never see the inside of your fridge. From fruits and vegetables to some pantry staples, these items prefer room temperature and can even lose their flavor, texture, or nutritional value when refrigerated. Throughout this journey, we'll explore the reasons why these foods prefer a chill-free existence, shedding light on how refrigeration can sometimes do more harm than good. Our aim is to help you store your food in a way that maintains its quality while maximizing its shelf life. So, are you ready to rethink your refrigeration habits? Let's dive right into the first food you should never put in the fridge. First up, we have tomatoes. A staple in many kitchens, tomatoes are often wrongly banished to the refrigerator. But here's the thing. The cold temperature of your fridge actually impacts both the taste and texture of these juicy fruits. It's all down to science. When tomatoes are exposed to temperatures below 55 degrees Fahrenheit, the chilly environment starts to break down the cell walls within the fruit. This process is what causes that undesired, somewhat mealy texture when you bite into a refrigerated tomato. The cold also halts the production of compounds that give tomatoes their unique, rich flavor, leaving you with a fruit that's less satisfying on the palate. So, next time you're unpacking your grocery bags, think twice before stowing your tomatoes in the refrigerator. A countertop at room temperature is their preferred chill spot. Remember, keep those tomatoes out on the counter, not in the fridge. Next on our list is potatoes. These humble tubers that grace our tables in so many delightful ways have a storage secret. You see, when potatoes are exposed to cold temperatures like those in your fridge, an interesting thing happens. The cold prompts the starch in the potatoes to convert into sugar. Now, while that might sound like a sweet deal, it's not exactly beneficial for our beloved spuds. This process alters both the taste and texture of the potatoes. Instead of the earthy, comforting flavor we all know and love, you might notice a slight sweetness. And the texture? It becomes a bit gritty, not quite the smooth, fluffy consistency we associate with a perfect baked potato or a helping of creamy mashed potatoes. So, what's the solution? It's simple. Store your potatoes in a cool, dark place, but not in the fridge. This way you'll preserve their natural goodness, ready to be transformed into your next culinary masterpiece. Let's now talk about onions. These delightful bulbs are a kitchen staple, lending their distinct flavor to countless dishes across the globe. But the refrigerator is not their best friend. You see, the cool, moist environment inside the fridge is not suitable for onions. The high humidity can cause them to become soft and worse, moldy. It's as if they are crying out, "Save us from the moisture." However, if you have peeled or sliced onions, the situation changes. These onions are more vulnerable to bacteria and other contaminants, and refrigerating them can help slow down their decay. So, it's not a complete no-fridge rule for onions, but rather a depends-on-the-situation kind of thing. So where should you store your whole unpeeled onions? In a dry, well-ventilated area, a pantry or a cool, dark cupboard is ideal. Keep your onions in a dry, well-ventilated area, but never in the refrigerator. Our next food might surprise you. It's bread. Yes, that's right, the humble loaf that graces our tables daily. It's a common assumption that the refrigerator is the best place to keep our bread fresh. But the cold truth is, refrigeration can actually make your bread stale faster. This happens due to a process known as retrogradation. When bread is stored in the fridge, the starch molecules in the bread recrystallize swiftly, causing the bread to lose its soft texture and become hard or stale faster. While refrigeration slows down the growth of mold, it accelerates this staling process. So what's the best way to store your bread? If you're going to consume it within a few days, then a bread box or a cool, dry place is your best bet. For long-term storage, freezing is the way to go. Bread can be easily thawed or toasted straight from the freezer. So enjoy your bread fresh or freeze it for long-term storage, but stay away from the fridge. How about coffee? Should we refrigerate it? Now that's a question that's puzzled coffee lovers for ages. It's time we shed some light on this. Coffee, whether it's in the form of beans or ground, is like a sponge. It's extremely sensitive to its surroundings. It readily absorbs moisture, odors, and flavors from the air around it. Now imagine it in the refrigerator, a closed space with a variety of food items and their distinct smells. Not a pleasant picture, is it? Moreover, the refrigerator is a hub for condensation. Each time you take your coffee out and then put it back into the fridge, you're inviting condensation. This moisture can seriously tamper with the flavor of your coffee, turning your aromatic morning pick-me-up into a disappointing mug of meh. So, where should you store your coffee? A cool, dark cupboard is the best place. It provides a stable environment that helps maintain the flavor and freshness of your coffee. To preserve the best taste for your coffee, keep it in a cool, dark cupboard. Next up is a favorite in many kitchens: garlic. This pungent yet flavorful bulb is a staple in countless recipes worldwide, but how you store it might be impacting its quality and lifespan. You see, your refrigerator is not the friend of garlic. The cold, humid environment inside the fridge can spell disaster for this humble bulb. Here's why. Garlic contains an enzyme that becomes activated when conditions are too wet or too cold. This can lead to the garlic sprouting or even becoming moldy. That's right, those green shoots and furry patches are signs your garlic is past its prime and not the best for your culinary endeavors. And if the mold isn't off-putting enough, the change in texture might be. The usually firm and crisp cloves can become rubbery and soft, losing that satisfying crunch when chopped. So, where should you keep your garlic? In a cool, dry place, away from the damp and chill of the refrigerator. Keep your garlic in a cool, dry place, but not in the refrigerator. Let's now discuss avocados. These creamy, delicious fruits are a favorite in many kitchens worldwide. But here's a tip. Avoid refrigerating unripe avocados. You see, avocados need room temperature to ripen properly. When you place an unripe avocado in the fridge, you could potentially halt its ripening process. On the other hand, if you have a perfectly ripe avocado and you're not quite ready to use it, then by all means, pop it in the fridge. This can help maintain its ripeness for a few more days, ensuring that you get to enjoy it at its peak. So the rule of thumb is simple. Keep your unripe avocados on the counter at room temperature and only move them to the fridge when they're ripe, and you need a little more time before eating them. Remember, only refrigerate ripe avocados if you're not ready to eat them. Ever heard of honey spoiling? Neither have we. It's quite fascinating, isn't it? Honey is one of those rare foods that just doesn't go bad, and it owes this to its natural preservation. It's a sweet symphony of science and nature, where bees, nectar, and a little bit of magic come together to create this liquid gold. Now, imagine this perfect balance being disrupted by something as mundane as your refrigerator. Yes, you heard it right. Storing honey in the fridge can actually do more harm than good. When honey is exposed to low temperatures, it can crystallize and harden. This process changes its texture and makes it less enjoyable to consume. The divine, smooth, and runny consistency we all love, it's gone. And let's not forget, honey's natural preservatives make it perfectly safe and fresh for a long time right in your pantry. So remember, keep your honey in your pantry, not your fridge. Our next food is a staple in many kitchens: olive oil. This liquid gold, as some like to call it, is a rich source of monounsaturated fats and is often used in cooking, baking, and even as a dressing for salads. Now you might think to preserve its goodness, you should store it in the refrigerator. But here's where you might be going wrong. When olive oil is refrigerated, it condenses, becomes cloudy, and hardens. This is due to the high concentration of monounsaturated fats that solidify in cold temperatures. The change in texture might make it less appealing, and it could take a while for it to return to its liquid state at room temperature. But don't worry, leaving your olive oil out on the counter won't make it go bad. Olive oil is quite stable and can last a good amount of time when stored in a cool, dark place. So remember, keep your olive oil in a cool, dark place, but not in the refrigerator. Let's talk about berries. When it comes to these sweet, juicy treats, many of us instinctively pop them into the fridge. However, did you know that they actually last longer when they're not refrigerated? It might seem counterintuitive, but let me explain. You see, the fridge is a moist environment, and moisture is a prime breeding ground for mold. When you store berries in the fridge, the humidity can make them go moldy faster. Not to mention, the cold temperature can also rob them of their vibrant flavors, leaving you with a less enjoyable snack. So what's the best way to store berries? Well, it's simple. Keep them at room temperature, preferably in a cool, dry place. This way, they'll retain their freshness and flavor for longer. And remember to only wash them right before you're about to eat them, to avoid any extra moisture. If you want your berries to last, it's best to keep them out of the fridge. Last but not least, we have peanut butter. This creamy, rich spread is a beloved staple in many households. But did you know that refrigerating it can actually do more harm than good? When peanut butter is stored in the fridge, it can become hard and dry, making it difficult to spread on your favorite slice of bread. The cold temperature can cause the natural oils in the peanut butter to solidify, resulting in a texture that is less than desirable. Additionally, the chill can also mute the nutty, savory flavor we all love, making your peanut butter sandwich or morning toast a lot less enjoyable. But don't worry, you can still keep your peanut butter fresh for a long time without refrigeration. Simply store it in a cool, dry place like your kitchen cupboard or pantry. This way, you can enjoy a perfectly creamy and flavorful peanut butter anytime you want. So, keep your peanut butter in the cupboard, not the refrigerator. And there you have it, 12 foods that you should never put in the fridge. We've journeyed through a dozen everyday items, breaking down the reasons why refrigeration may not be their best friend. From the humble tomato that loses its flavor and texture in the cold, to the potatoes that turn sweet and gritty. Onions too prefer the pantry over the fridge, as the humidity makes them moldy and soft. Bread, that staple of our meals, goes stale more quickly in the fridge. Your aromatic coffee, be it ground or whole beans, absorbs odors from the fridge and loses its own unique flavor. As for garlic, it sprouts and gets moldy when refrigerated. Who knew, right? But it doesn't stop there. Avocados, that creamy delight, ripen perfectly at room temperature. And honey, nature's sweetener, crystallizes and becomes grainy in the fridge. We've also learned that olive oil thickens and turns cloudy when cold. Those vibrant, juicy berries, they get damp and spoil faster in the fridge. And last but not least, peanut butter. It becomes hard and dry in the fridge, losing its smooth, spreadable texture. So the next time you're about to stash these foods in the fridge, pause. Remember our little chat and find them a cozy spot in your pantry or on your counter instead. It's not just about prolonging their shelf life, it's about preserving their flavor, texture, and nutritional value. It's about savoring them at their very best. But hey, every rule has its exceptions. There are indeed some foods that thrive in the chilly confines of your fridge. Curious to know what they are? Remember to like and subscribe for more food facts. Also, check out our other video on foods you should always refrigerate. Thanks for watching.